BYU, their football players exposed some NIL chaos, right? A lot of broken promises, a lot of power struggles, and some went from financial security to financial disaster. What was once a game changer for BYU football players, it turned into a financial nightmare. Players are alleging that Royal Blue, the school's officially endorsed NIL collective, they delayed payments, they slashed stipends, and they restricted outside deals, all while they funneled money into basketball recruits, right? And we'll talk about that here in a minute, but very interesting stuff going on with the BYU Cougars. Players claim that NIL payments were used as leverage. So you've got former BYU players Crew Wakley, however you say that, and Isaiah Bagnah. They went public about some significant pay cuts they hit right before the 2024 season. Payments stopped in December 2023. That left players scrambling for answers. Some believed that it was a clerical error until the transfer portal closed and the money never arrived. Now, obviously, we know now that the transfer portal doesn't matter, right? Obviously, you've got the defensive back that went from Wisconsin to Miami, never entered the portal. The NCAA said, hey, we can't stop people from unenrolling one place and enrolling somewhere else and playing immediately. There's nothing we can do. But a lot of players still believed that the transfer portal was what it was. Bagnah said they waited until after the portal closed to pay us, making sure that we could not leave. Royal Blue had an interesting approach to this. It was basically take it or leave it, right? In January 2024, new collective leader Min Kim made his stance brutally clear. He allegedly told players, and this is per the Salt Lake Tribune, he said, I'm not here to pay your rent or bills. You guys are entitled and greedy, asking me for money. It's an interesting way to try and get players to come play for you, but either way, the fallout was that starters saw their payments cut by 50%. Walk-ons lost their stipends entirely. Bagnah had his NIL stipend slashed by $700. And we're not talking about a lot. These guys are not getting paid a ton, but still, when you say you're going to get paid something and then you don't, it doesn't feel good. I know that. Players were told to sign new contracts or they would lose their NIL compensation altogether. There were non-compete clauses. There were broken promises, all that kind of stuff. Players were blocked from pursuing outside NIL deals unless they aligned with Royal Blue. Wakley, who was a starting safety, he was promised more money if he earned a two-deep spot, but then he did, and he never saw a dime, right? A fall renegotiation period was promised, but that never happened. Interesting way to make sure and take care of your football players, which is the most important sport on campus. At least one would assume, right? It's worth the most. BYU's basketball program, though, I mean, they thrived while the football players struggled. Football players, they faced cuts. BYU basketball secured a major NIL deal for number one recruit A.J. DeBansta, right? And that's very interesting. The rumor is that he got $7 million to come play at BYU for 1 year. Interesting. He's not there yet, but he will be soon enough. The stark contrast fueled some resentment in the football locker room because most would assume that a Big 12 program should not be struggling for NIL dollars. The bigger picture here is that NIL collectives hold way too much power right now. Now, they won't as we move into a revenue-sharing system, right? But with NIL and the collectives, who protects the athletes when these collectives change the rules, right? The new House settlement, it's going to introduce revenue sharing. It's going to shift control away from those collectives, which is a good thing, especially for the student athletes. But for now, this BYU situation, this is a cautionary tale because in the NIL era, financial security is never guaranteed. These contracts are worth less than the paper that they're written on in some cases, right? It leads to a lot more questions. Is it just a BYU problem, or is this a sign of bigger NIL instability across college football? So you guys let me know. Hit me up on X, at GaryWCE. I'm curious your thoughts on this because I thought that BYU was doing things differently. I remember there was a big story about how there was some group coming in that was going to give an NIL deal to every walk-on the team. But if they all have to align with this royal blue collective, I don't know that that's such a good thing. I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm curious about this story. Thanks for listening to Winning Cures Everything. Make sure and follow me on Twitter @GaryWCE. If you want to toss in a question, you can email me Gary@winningcureseverything.com. Make sure and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.